everybody, welcome to the Comic Game Movie Show. My name is Deshaun, and today I'm here to review Andor episodes 11 and 12. Now, I didn't review last week Andor episode because I figured next week is the finale. I might as well just review these together because, you know, it probably worked better that way anyways, because outside of some great dramatic moments in episode 11, I really didn't have a lot to talk about in terms of things happening. You know, like I've said before, I'm kind of over the Andor method that they've developed of having build up, then something happens, build up, then something happens, because sometimes it doesn't feel like there's enough happening, like actually happening. Like, sure, there's some great character stuff, there's some great acting, the show is still very good, but there's not actually anything happening. And I've kind of been frustrated with that about the show, is that like when it's at its best, it's one of the best things on television, or not television, and streaming / television, because they are actually going to show it on FX. Like, the whole season's I think they're gonna start showing the entire season of Andor on FX and ABC and shit. So I guess you could say it's one of the best shows on television as well. But so at its peak, it's that good. But sometimes, like I said, there's just moments of nothing happening. And episode 11 was a lot of that. Not a lot of that. Episode 11 had some great emotional beats, especially with the death of Andor's mother. Everything around that was great, and the way it was handled. I mean, that episode, throughout the course of both these episodes, this show managed to make me a bit emotional for a droid, which isn't the first time Star Wars has done that, but it's the one I remember most recently, and I felt for that droid, I felt for the town, you know, and it was sad when she passed away. And it was like I say, that episode really revolved around that and the ISB agent and whatnot are still trying to figure out a way to catch Andor, and they think they might be onto something. Also, there's a great scene with Saul Guerrero and Papa Skarsgård, Bill Skarsgård. I always call him Papa Skarsgård because I always forget his actual name in the show. They just call him Access, but he's the kind of puppet master of the rebellion. If you want to be technical, he's really one of the Access, aka Skarsgård's character, is really kind of set up to be one of the not the founders of the rebellion, but kind of one of the pillars of the rebellion, someone who was really behind it from day one, and someone who would do in last week's episode, someone who would do whatever it takes to help this rebellion, even if it costs him his life, if it costs him his reputation. He doesn't care. He wants to do this to succeed because he sees what the Empire is doing and he knows it's wrong. But also at this point, they don't know if they can trust Andor. Now, since the whole heist thing, they've been trying to find Andor. They've been trying to chase him down. They've been trying to kill him because they don't think they can trust him. And right now, Andor is still undecided. Now, one of the flaws of the show is that it was a prequel. And unlike The Mandalorian, where it's in this weird pocket of time where we sort of don't know a lot, because you got to remember, there's so much written on the original trilogy. Canon, non-canon, legends, non-legends. We kind of know a lot about this time period of time. Like, it's been a lot written. Whereas there hasn't really been, except, more public. There are books, there are stuff out there, but there's not a lot written about what the stuff that would have led to the, what was their version of the Order that led to this, New Order thing rising up that would be in the sequel trilogy. There's not anything written about all that. So there's a huge gap of time to play with in The Mandalorian, to play with different things, to play with different ideas, to make certain things canon and whatnot. Whereas this prequel, we know Andor isn't gonna die. We know that by the time this show wraps up, he's gonna be a full rebel. So we know that events have to happen in a way that would lead him to becoming a full rebel. Now, all the other characters in the show, we don't know what's gonna happen to them. We assume they all die because they're not in Rogue One. So even to an extent, we know that most of these characters probably aren't gonna live. So the show like most of the time, the show it never bothers me because the show is so well done, it's so well directed and well written, and the acting is so stellar that I don't think about it. But at points when it's like when I actually stop to think about the actual plot, like I said, from day one, even in the first episode, I was like, his mom's gonna die. That's kind of something that we kind of knew off the bat, especially when they kind of had him start off as this selfish asshole who just cares about himself and stealing for himself, and you're like, well, obviously that's not gonna stick around very much longer. Something's gonna happen, probably gonna be the death of his mom, but the way they ended up doing it is also how you figure they would do it, which is breadcrumbing it, which is his conversations with that young boy who ended up dying in the heist, his conversations with different people, his conversations with his mom, his conversation with people when he was on the prison, when he was on that prison, like all of these little things adding up to him being like, I'm full on in. By the time episode 12 comes to an end, we end with him being like, I am full on in. I am ready to be a rebel. And like in the whole episode, 12th episode, the finale really revolved around him coming back to save his friends, and to really live up to what his mother thought he could be. Him living up to that, and him coming to see save his friends. And everyone was there. Most of the players on the board were there. Some were there. The Empire was there to capture him. The rebels were there to kill him. But by the time it ends up wrapping up, he ends up being on the ship with Axis, aka Skarsgård, and it seems, well, like I said, we know where it's going from that point. But this show as a whole is an interesting show. It's a refreshing approach to Star Wars. It's one of those shows that's proof that, that's honestly, like, I'll give this show this. It is proof that you can do mature content without having to go R-rated. But, like, see, it's funny because I heard no one talking about that bit. That's the bit that I don't hear anyone talking about. I heard a lot of people talking about the show and how it's better than Mandalorian. I disagree with you, but, whatever. Oh, it's better than this, all this other stuff. I don't hear anyone talking about the fact that this show is proof that you can do adult content, you can get violent, you can say real shit, without having to be an R-rated product. It's really proof is in the pudding here. It shows that you can do that. And honestly, it makes me feel more relaxed because it's like, oh, you can tell these stories without pushing it to that limit. And honestly, it was refreshing to see Star Wars taken in this kind of a direction. It was refreshing to see something so unique and different than anything else in Star Wars. Outside of maybe Rogue One. It was a drama. It was a drama first, sci-fi second. It was all about character, all about build up, and honestly, it really captured this period piece-esque vibe. And I don't know if you guys noticed it either, but at points watching this show, even though it takes place in a galaxy far, far away, at points, it felt like I was watching a period piece. I mentioned it before, but it felt like I was watching that show, Turned, about Washington spies or whatever on AMC. It felt like I was watching a show or a period piece movie about a rebellion and about the steps that lead to a rebellion happening. It felt like I felt it in the show. I felt the oppression that they were getting across that the Empire does. And by taking a closer look at the Empire, you can really see the little things. Now, there are other shows and books and whatnot that have touched upon this. Rebels has also touched upon the little oppressions that the Empire does that eventually swole up to create a rebellion against them in the first place. But the show really did a good job of just putting a real face on it, of just saying, like, how the Empire has corrupted even down to the smallest details, into the smallest sectors of people. It's not just these grand big things. The Empire has really corrupted so much. And to the point where two of the characters in the show, this ISB agent chick and this one dude, like, they're so in on the cause, and it's like, man, you guys are real screwed, especially him. He is real screwed up. But I digress. When it's hard to really, when you come up like that, Sometimes that's what you find. Sometimes you're just in it. But I digress. This show was great. I don't think it's as good as The Mandalorian because, to me personally, I like that style of Star Wars a little bit better. Like, I like the big monsters, the big spectacle, because I just think Star Wars is larger than life. You know what I mean? It's kind of like with it's kind of like with superhero movies and superheroes in general. Like, don't get me wrong, don't get me wrong, I don't mind watching, a straight up drama and whatnot. Hell, I don't know if you guys remember this, but a couple of years ago, my favorite movie of the year didn't even have an action sequence in it. It was called A Marriage Story and had Scarlett Johansson in it, and I thought that movie was amazing. So obviously, I'm not opposed to just straight dramas and whatnot being one of my favorite movies. But when I picture Star Wars and whatnot, I do picture something a bit more larger than life, and this show, on purpose, and I'm not even faulting it, was trying for something different, trying for something a little bit more realistic, a little bit more grounded, a lot more grounded, and it accomplished that. It really did. It accomplished that in spades, what it was going for. I am so happy for this show. I can't wait for the next season, even though I'm hearing the next season actually isn't going to be out for a couple of years, at least from what I'm hearing. That's what I heard, was that the next season of Andor ain't gonna be out till like 2026 or some shit. I just remember hearing that. I don't know if that's true, but I remember hearing that. Like, that shit ain't coming out for at least another 2 years. So, Andor, I enjoyed the hell out of it. I thought the whole season was a win. I thought the whole show was a win. Sucks that it's not getting a lot of viewership, but I know John Campea tried to say that the reason the show isn't getting viewership is because Disney and Star Wars have hurt the trust of the fans. Okay. How much you want to bet The Mandalorian season 3 is the most viewed thing on Disney Plus? Is the most viewed show on Disney Plus all time? How much you want to bet? How much you want to bet The Mandalorian season 3 is the most viewed show all time on Disney Plus? Probably one of the most viewed shows on streaming. I would bet money on that. Money. And that's two-time drama, and that's two-time Emmy nominated drama of the year, The Mandalorian. Though I am actually pretty sure that Andor is going to get nominated too this year, get nominated too next year. So, they might, I'm not faulting them. I think, like I said, Andor is going to get nominated too. But anyways, thank you guys for watching the Comic Game Movie Show. Please like, subscribe. What did you think of Andor's episodes 11 and 12? What did you think of the show as a whole? Comment below and let me know. Thank you guys again. I will see you on the next one. Goodbye.